Now, I'll call the meeting to order. Welcome, everyone, and I'd like to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And Renee will give our invocation. Renee Brame of the Shenandoah Valley Christian Ministry.
Let us pray. Loving God, we thank you for this precious day of life. Each day we can choose to be positive and have joy, or we can choose to be negative. We have a chance to make a difference in life, or we can choose to just survive the day. Remove any negativity from our hearts and minds so that we can be the faithful servants and leaders you call us to be. Thank you for your presence here in this very room. We lift to you the work endeavors of this group. May everyone work together for the common good of all people. May everything we do be in service to you. Help us not to turn a blind eye to those who are in poverty, those who are struggling emotionally and physically. Help us to have eyes that are open to seek ways that we can make a difference in this community and beyond. We never know what giving a smile, providing a hot meal, recognizing someone who feels they are invisible, and lending a helping hand can do for someone. If we pass by those who are fragile and act as if they are not there, we are only adding to their burdens. You call us by name, but we cannot hear you unless the eyes of our hearts are open to your holy presence. So fill us with you and your love that we simply must hear your call, for we know that each of us are your beloved. In Christ's name I pray. Amen.
Thank you, Renee. First, we want to go ahead and to thank our Town Square Steering Committee for all the wonderful work they did. And so I've got some certificates here for those that are present. The first one goes to the chairman, Tom Gill. And this is a tremendous honor. Thank you for your leadership on that.
Thank you, Mike.
It turned out well.
We have a great team.
Thanks again.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate it. Next is the finance chair, John DeWitt. Very good, sir. Appreciate it. Thank you all the time. The fundraising chair, Robert Headley, Dr. Headley. Thank you, Mike. Appreciate it.
Joanne's not here.
Okay. Joanne Brandon, she's not here. And Murphy Capps. Aaron was not be here. Don Farrow. Jesse Gardner. Richard Hudson. Mike Mayer. Terry McElrath. Jan Reeves. Julie White. May you get one here in a minute?
Yeah, here's one.
Here's one. Mary Leonard. Stephanie Wiles.
That's great.
And Jack Williams. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. And Tom Wards. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Michael Murphy just walked in.
Murphy.
Here we go.
And this is Murphy Hatch. Now we've got the recognition of the outgoing board and commission members. On the Greenway is Ann Lutz. Ann has been with the Greenway Commission off and on since its inception back in the mid-90s. Thank you, Ann.
Thank you.
And we have Nancy Hargrove from the Housing Commission. Thank you for your time. And an ode, John DeWitt for Recreation. Thanks, sir. And James Halverson. And you see Dr. Halverson here. Right here.
We have this one.
And then Mr. Hoppin' Blueberry.
Yay.
Van Grenade. And then last is Zoning Board of Adjustments, Alan Arcan.
Not here.
Not here. Anyway, thank you for all your time and effort and volunteers. That's what helps make this town really truly what it is all volunteer hours. Those hours, if we were told them up, it's in the thousands of volunteer hours. So thank you for those that are here. Thank you for those that have seen us on TV. And we hope that you'll continue to volunteer. Now, you're going to do the oath. Next would end up being the oaths of office for the newly appointed board members. First will be the ABC board.
And Deborah Wooten has already come by and was sworn in, so that one is taken care of. We're going to do this in two groups. Greenways, Robert Thomas Orr. If you'll just stand here and hold that. Teresa. I'm sorry, I don't know how to pronounce it. Howelton. She's not here.
She's not here.
Bob Jamanik. He's with the Housing Commission. Pam Norton, I didn't see her come in. And Michael Raines. So we're going to do the two of them first. Put your left hand on the Bible and raise your right hand and fill in the blanks there. Read that. Go.
Robert Jamanik, do solemnly and sincerely affirm
that I will support the Constitution and obey the laws of the United States and the state of North Carolina, that I will in all respects observe the provisions of the Charter and the ordinances of the town of Black Mountain, and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of my office as member of the Greenways Commission, town of Black Mountain, North Carolina.
Thank you. Sorry for the confusion. We'll face the camera the next time. So, thank you so much.
Do you want this signed
Yes,
now?
if you'll sign, come over here and sign it right now. And then, the next group is Recreation, Don McMahill.
Thank you, Bob. Thank you, Bob.
Peter Warner. Ray Nightingale. Andrew Wagner. And John DeWitt. Recreation, ZBA.
ZBA.
So we can, but can we turn around and, oh, is she getting it? Oh, good. Okay, you'll read it out loud and fill in your blank there.
I, Peter Warner, do solemnly and sincerely affirm that I will support the Constitution and will obey the laws of the United States and the state of North Carolina, that I will in all respects observe the provisions of the Charter and ordinances of the town of Black Mountain, and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of my office as a member of the Recreation Commission of the town of Black Mountain, North Carolina.
Thank you so much. We really appreciate your volunteering for these boards and commissions. This is the first year in 6 years since I've been here that every slot is filled. There are no vacancies in all our boards and commissions. So thank you, the volunteers and those of the town, too, for your support.
Very good.
Thank you, Ray.
Thanks again, man. Okay, now we'll move on to the next business, which is citizen comment, and we have one person signed up, Phil Besessi.
I am Phil Besessi, 15 Highview Drive. About 5 years ago, there was $15,000 appropriated to make a real study of the Carver Center and decide the best use of it, and also energy conservation studies, etc. That money was returned to the general fund for who knows what reasons, and studies were never done. They did get a little energy conservation study from Land to Sky, but that was limited to just changing out lighting fixtures and some simple things. Now there is $105,000 devoted to that project to be used for a new roof. But I contend that we don't want to spend $105,000 without doing some engineering first. I propose that an engineer be hired to really study the roof. In fact, there's two of them, and there's insulation in between. It's a very complicated system, and it needs some real deliberate study. And at the same time, study how that contributes to the total energy use of the building and what the effect will be when they remove those ugly unit heaters and put in a good air conditioning system, and just what the overall direction of the building will be. The staff has studied use of space. I'll defer to that, but use of energy is really an engineering function, and I'd like to see you address hiring an engineer before you let contractors give you bids on God knows what. Thank you.
Thank you, Phil. Appreciate it. All right, we have our annual report from the Urban Forestry Commission, Mr. Van Burnett. You're on.
All right. Can you hear me?
Hey, y'all. Be the last time I do this. Hate to see you go, although, I may. What does that mayor's job pay anyway?
And all the perks, too.
I might look into that next year or something. Well, between the Urban Forestry Commission and my farm, the Hop and Blueberry Farm, which is open right now, as a matter of fact, and picking hops, which we'll actually be picking hops next week to go to local breweries. The Urban Forestry Commission is still hanging in there. And last year we had kind of we had 2 vacancies for the most part during the whole year, and but we still managed to get some things done. One was 2 tangible things I'm thinking about, or we got some signage up for labeling trees down on the greenways. And we also worked with the community gardens on that. And we also got pretty nice informative sign that we put up about trees and the importance of trees at the rec park down there. But we did a lot of researching. We spent a great deal of time actually researching and developing a plan for planners for downtown, in which then I propose, or our commissions propose to you guys to look at the tree planter recommendations that we came up with, and we looked at what we have been looking at was also developing an arborist day or an arbor day. We wanted to do that because part of that is we're trying to get Black Mountain redesignated as a tree city again. And in order to do that, one of the stipulations we need for that is to have an Arbor Day. So at some point in time, the new commission will actually get up with you, I guess you, Mr. Mayor, and to come up with a day that we could propose as Arbor Day. And we're going to coincide that with some of the members of our, or one of the members in the commission, who is with a group of arborists in the whole Blue Ridge area here. And they're going to actually do a service day, and I think that we can make that service day part of the Arbor Day celebration. Anyway, we'll get up with you on that. That's all part of putting us back into Tree City. And we were designated Tree City several years back, and we sort of lost that, so we're hoping to get that done. We got a treasure tree program that we're looking at, trying to get involved with. We're also, that kind of coincides with the actual tree map, and we're trying to get all this together so we can pay more attention to our trees and put them a little bit more into the public's eye. That is how we spent the year, pretty much. And it doesn't sound like we got done much, but in the 7 years that I've been there, we planted more than 2,000 trees in Black Mountain. So we're making it greener as we go, and I think the new board or the new commission will carry on and do their part. So that about wraps it up. Come see us at the Hoppin' Blueberry Farm, located just right outside the Black Mountain city limits. And I'd like to say hi to Mom. Thank y'all.
All right, thank you, man. Appreciate it. All right, we now move on to the consent agenda. Matt, if you'll lead us through that, please.
Yes, sir. You've got the adoption of minutes from your June 5th agenda workshop, your June 9th regular session, and your June 16th public hearing for the budget. You've got a budget amendment to transfer money from the capital reserve. If you recall, the capital reserve fund is money that you've set aside for a variety of capital projects, and this one is for improvements at the public safety building. We'll replace the roof over the bays. So I know there've been you'd asked some questions last week about that. What we're basically doing is it'll be consistent with the section between the bays and the fire department and the police department, so that all that will be uniform. It's a metal roof now. We'll fill that in and put an insulated cover board over a 1.5 inch cover board over top of that. We of course will get all the necessary building permits and have that inspected and put that in. But the money for that comes from the capital reserve fund that you'd set aside previously to make those improvements. Then you have the award of the helmet and the badge to Battalion Chief Ronnie Bartlett, who is retiring. You have a handful of public hearings that you need to call a public hearing for text amendments to define structures. We just don't have that in our land use code, and we need to have a definition for that. A public hearing for text amendments regarding multifamily residential, because we have two different definitions in our land use code. We need to make that consistent. A public hearing for adoption of building codes. We make reference to an older code in our land use code. We need to just make that a more generic reference, so that we're always using the most up-to-date code for that. And then a public hearing for text amendments related to tattoo and body piercing parlors, the planning board has been reviewing that and has a recommendation for conditional uses for that. And those are just calling public hearings that will be in August for those uses. And that's all that you have tonight, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, do I hear a motion for the consent agenda?
So moved.
Any discussion on any particular items? Want to be any removed or discuss that separately, or just a general statement? If not, then, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? So it passes unanimously. We're at that point to where if we have new business, we usually have another citizen comment, but we don't have any new business, but we've got, if there is any citizen that wishes to comment, we certainly will go ahead and be willing to listen to you. Again, we don't seem to have any unfinished business or new business. So we will move on to the last part, which is communication from the staff. Ron Sneed.
I have nothing new this month.
And then last, Matt Settlemyer.
The only thing that I would add is that, of course, with the roof at Public Safety and for the improvements that you all budgeted for at the Carver Center, we are in the process now of reviewing those and getting necessary quotes and building permits that are associated with those, and we'll review those when we have those at hand.
All right. Do we have any communication from any of the board members? Any board members like to make any statements?
Yes, I would. In fact, I've been wanting to have all this time to fill up, but no, just kidding. I gave each of the board members a report, or the most up-to-date information I have from the MPO. And the MPO is the Metropolitan Planning Organization, which deals with transportation. And the DOT has come up with a priority listing of projects. We have one regional. The top page are the regional results. They chose 18 projects, and number 14 on the list is the Blue Ridge exit off I-40. So that's where that is at this point. The DOT, the state DOT has gone through all this reevaluation, new formula. In fact, the last 3 pages I gave you here are the point system that they assign to different items. Our 2 biggest things there are safety and economics. Of course, congestion is a biggie thing, but the congestion's not the big deal with this Blue Ridge exit. It's the safety factor and the economic factor. So I wanted you to see this is the most up-to-date news I have. That's one schedule. The second one, and this was a new one for me, I didn't know about this one. This one on the second page, it's a division list, and it's called they call it the Black Mountain Southeast Connector, which actually would start about where Bilo is and go across to about where McCoy Cove is what they told me. But this is something that the former planning director, Elizabeth Teague, that's something she proposed, and it's on this list. I mean, it's the first time I was aware of it. And of course, it's number 11 on the list. So just wanted you to know this is what's going on with the MPO. And also, and this was in Sunday's paper, there's a hearing this whole month. There is open for public input on these 2 charts. And there's a meeting tomorrow night in Marion at the Marion Community Building on 191 North Main Street, and it's open to anyone. I know Ryan is the alternate with me on the MPO board. Ryan's going, and Josh, our planning director, I think is going. So we will be represented. But if any of the public would like to go, and if you can't go, they gave those who do not attend can comment by calling, and they give a list of the person's name to call with the DOT, an emailing address, and it will be, you can comment all month. It's open for a month. So I'm going to leave this with, in fact, Fred, you might want to get this information, put it in the news. I think it'd be, I'll give it to you. Of course, it's in your, your cohort paper. And I'll leave it with Darlene. So if any of you are interested in this information. It will be here at Town Hall. Hopefully Fred will put it in the Black Mountain News. So I just wanted you to have the up-to-date, as I have it, with the MPO. And we've talked about having this gentleman from the DOT come probably in a couple of months, because this is not written in stone, where it is on the priority list. It's an open policy right now. So they're going through a lot of struggle getting used to a new head guy in the State Department. So everybody's learning along with this. So just thought you might like to know, thought the board might like to know. That's where it is.
I have a question, Maggie. Are
Sure.
these projects listed, are they all in the same tier? Because, the projects are tiered, and some of these look like, pretty significant projects.
They are.
These widening interstates and so forth.
Oh, yeah.
Is that in the
well,
same
the
tier as
I-26, well, no, probably not. But I-26, you'll notice it's at the bottom.
You're right.
Well, they were asking us to vote on, to cascade that project, which means we would put that the I-26 connector we would say do everything for that and leave these other projects alone. Well, I felt like a mother hen sitting on our project. I thought, I'm not going to let go of our project.
Right.
So,
just to sort of clarify for...
So we voted not to cascade.
Right.
So that would not be the top priority where all the money would go there.
Just to clarify, what my question is that the new system for approving projects takes the incredibly large projects like the 26 connector. Those go into a different category than something that that we're talking about at Blue Ridge. Not that it's not a significant project, but at the same time, it's not. The idea was that you wouldn't be competing against the tremendously large projects and so forth.
No, but if we had voted to okay that 26 connector, a lot of these projects would just get pushed off.
Yeah. There's still only so much money, isn't
right,
there?
Right, exactly. But that's why I thought it would be good if we had the guys from the DOT come in a couple months, probably about September. We'll have them in a board meeting. I think that would be helpful.
Now, Maggie, when it talks about a new route from number 9 to US 70, that's a whole new...
I had never seen that. I think Josh knew a little bit about it. Did you know? Do you know? I looked and I thought, wow.
It says new route. It sounds like a totally different new road or something.
From what
Yeah.
I've been able to find out, it's a new road that would connect 70 with 9 from basically Bilo back to McCoy Cove Road. So it would cut back through and open up that area for development.
It would basically be a bypass for that to bypass if you wanted to try to move traffic around town without going through the middle of town. But you're exactly right that it would be an entirely new road through private property. That's why it's never risen very high on the rankings because there's more complications to it than just saying how much does it cost to do. There's other issues that may not exist for other projects.
So that would almost like take the place of widening Blue Ridge Road, basically.
Well, it wouldn't. I wouldn't say that it would take the place. I think it would. I think the idea there was that it would complement that in the sense that on one end of town you would address an issue with traffic, and on the other end of town you would address an issue with traffic. The Blue Ridge Road interchange ranks higher mostly, and I think part of it is because of the point system. It generates more points because of the impact that it has and the right of way that exists already. This kind of stays in the queue, but it doesn't rank as high because and that's why it never rises out of the division rankings because it's a lot more complicated than just saying here's right of way that exists. You're 4 or 5 steps away from making that a reality. But the vision would be, I think, at least when it was first proposed, was that it would address congestion on the east side of town the way the other side would be addressed with the interchange.
Let me give just a little history on this. This is also when Mary Leonard White was on the board prior to my joining her on the board. This project came about under their when Mike Begley was the mayor of the town. And there were some public hearings over at the Lake View Center. And at that time, pictures were then given of what this interchange at Blue Ridge Road was going to be, because at that point, up until that point, it was only just talked about that they would just be an interchange there. Well, then when we start looking at some of these drawings, we start seeing that this is not just an interchange at Blue Ridge Road, but it also was to widen Blue Ridge Road to a 4-lane road. And another concept was even to a 5-lane with a turn lane in the middle. Another concept was 4 lanes with a median in the middle. And then, but going out to number 9, and then at that point, this connector that is on this page 2 here, this new route, would then go behind Bilo through the old Hemphill Begley property, cross over the railroad, and just about the Richard Petty Bridge dumped down onto US 70. So it was, basically that was taken off at the request of the board at that time when Chuck McGowan was on here. And so that's why that this first project, which is the Blue Ridge Road project here, was deleted from that. I'm thinking somewhere along the road here that this second one was never deleted, as opposed, because I can never remember any of the boards that I was on approving this new route connector. And one of the main reasons was the fact that so many people were against this was the widening of Blue Ridge Road, and also the fact that by doing this, you basically do create a bypass around downtown Black Mountain, which was something that most of the residents of the town were not interested in. And there's certainly a lot of people that want to get traffic over that way. So I think that's really where this comes is that when I think that when the board, when we voted to delete Blue Ridge Road, everyone assumed that this was going to be deleted, and it just never got deleted.
And that may be. I think the other side of that too is that it, because of the issues associated with it, because it's so much more complicated, that it's never risen to the level of, it's never risen to the level where DOT has said, hey, we're ready to provide funding
we're
for
talking
this.
millions of dollars to build bridges, because you got to build a bridge over the river, you got to build a bridge over the railroad, you got to build a bridge over, to get on US 70, plus the connectors. I mean, but anyway, that's the history as best I can remember, and I think that's fairly accurate.
But one thing to make clear, and this is true, isn't it, Maggie, that this particular project as it stands now has nothing to do with widening Blue Ridge Road. It's the intersection back to Old 70, and it's the exchange. But there's no widening of Blue Ridge Road in this project as presented.
Well, I think we need to make sure of that.
We're sure of it.
Yeah.
That's what they told us.
And they'll be out here. Probably Jay Swain or Rick Tipton, and maybe both of them will be out here to talk to us about it.
We can have them come and just give us a briefing so that we're all so that there's not a confusion everywhere.
Certainly, I know I met with Jay Swain and was assured that was certainly the case.
Right. And maybe at that time it'd be a good time to talk to them about the possibility of putting a little shoulder onto Blue Ridge Road, like Blue Ridge Road has from number 9 to the old Blue Ridge Road, where Ron Collins lives there, right past all those homes. Because at that point, from number 9 to that point, that first road, you've got a shoulder on either side that's paved out about 2 feet, which makes it safe for people to walk, to run, to bicycle. But from there on around to US 70, it's not. Yeah. And there are many, many times that, and there's no one that's run that road any more than me. You can't believe the number of tractor trailers and dump trucks, and of course then you see people out there pushing a stroller, and it's a very unsafe thing. That would not be, obviously we would think about a sidewalk, but we don't need a sidewalk if we could just possibly get that done. Maybe we can talk to him. You put that on the agenda so that we could talk to them about that very thing. I think that'd be a good way to accomplish safety and movability of people, walkability without us having to spend any money on it. Anybody else got any statements? If not, I'll adjourn the meeting.